Hi, everybody. My name is Stacy Turner. I'm excited to join you tonight, even though my screen says Sharon Farrar. Sharon is a really good friend of mine, and she asked me to fill in for her. It's her daughter's birthday. She's been doing these presentations every morning and night for like the last 10 days. And if that doesn't show commitment to the message that she so believes in, I don't know what does, other than the fact that 23 years ago, she was very persistent in sharing this message with me. And I am so grateful, so very grateful that she believed in something, saw a need in myself even before I really fully recognized it. And I'm definitely going to share more about that with you. But we're just thankful that you're here with us tonight. And I want us to start with one question. I want you to think about this. When I ask you, who is your primary care provider? What comes to mind? We get asked that if we go to, let's say, the hospital, God forbid, they'll ask you, who is your primary care provider? And oftentimes we may think of a family doctor or the doctor that we just last saw, but I want to encourage you to kind of switch this. What if the answer is you? You are your primary care provider. You're the one that chooses the food for yourself. Nobody makes you eat something. You grocery shop, you meal plan. We're our own healthcare providers, our primary care providers, and there's nobody else that cares about your health like you do. Nobody else that cares about my health like I do. And when I think of it that way, that I am that primary care provider, and often we as moms and women are the primary care provider for our family, right? When you have little ones, they depend on you to make good food choices and to stay healthy. And I always say, if mama ain't healthy, ain't nobody healthy. We're the ones that often set this nutritional tone in our homes. And I know that was for me and for my family all these years. So I want to share with you some of the things that I've learned, some tips and things that have helped me along the way. And I will also be sharing with you our family's story because what's interesting is I was a young mom. I was 24. I really didn't know anything about nutrition, not much anyway, but I started reading, started learning because I had a child, right? We as moms will put our children before ourselves all the time. I wanted to be healthy. I wasn't making unhealthy food choices on purpose. I honestly just didn't know. I didn't know. And so often that can happen in our lives where we just maybe we eat like our family has eaten, right? We have the same health habits, eating habits that people in our family have. And then we often can end up with the same disease processes that they have, where we say something is genetic, it runs in our family. It's not just the genetic code that runs in our family, it's also lifestyle. And I was starting to recognize that. And it really started with Sharon. I went to this trade show one day and there was this table that had healthy options on it, all these fruits and veggies. And it caught my attention because my son was about a year old and he had decided he didn't want to eat anything but canned green beans. And I knew that that was not the only vegetable that he should be eating. He was okay on fruit, but like I said, I was just kind of trying to find foods that he would eat. And I remember a friend had recommended this book to me, and it's Super Baby Food book. And I started looking through it and I was reading it and I was serious because I was wanting to find a solution for him. But I remember just being super overwhelmed. I mean, it's a thick book, right? And I thought, how is feeding a baby this difficult? And yet I was finding
For
I couldn't make him eat something that he didn't want to eat.
which you,
It wasn't
your
like I could
kids.
keep food in his mouth. And so I remember reading it and just tossing it aside one day. I literally tossed it on the table and I thought, you know what, I'll do the best I can because it was very overwhelming. It was just so far from maybe if I was here and I felt like there was this new standard that I had to get to here, and I didn't see how I could bridge that gap. And I was concerned, but I just thought I'll do the best I can. And then I happened to meet Sharon not too long, and she shared one simple change with me that totally changed the direction of how I fed myself and how I fed my children growing up. They're now 20, 22, and 24, and I'm forever grateful that our paths crossed. And I'm thankful that you're here and excited to share with you tonight. So we're going to talk about what this one simple change was. But I want to set this up for us Just thinking a little bit different. I heard a story this weekend, and it was about a sheep named Prickles. And this sheep was a true sheep. It was a really real sheep. And this sheep got lost from its shepherd and from the flock for years. So nobody was tending to this sheep. Nobody was shearing this sheep. Nobody was helping this sheep out. It was on its own. And as you can imagine, when it came back years later, it was heavy with wool. So heavy, the wool had grown over its eyes. It was difficult for it to walk. It was just really hard for this sheep to manage its life, right? And it was a slow process. This sheep didn't just get heavy one day. It was a little bit by a little bit by a little bit. And that's often what happens with our poor health choices. It's not that we typically make this one very bad health choice and then we find ourselves so far away from true health. It's little choices at a time. We get off track, we get distracted. Something comes up in our life that takes us out of our routine. And then we just kind of never fall back into that good routine. And we just find ourselves struggling years later. Maybe it's at a point of a health crisis like one of these. And these numbers are pretty staggering. 1 in 4 will die of heart disease. And I'm sure all of us can name somebody that we've heard of within the last 2 weeks, even that have had a really detrimental health event happen to them, specific around heart health. My mom was just telling me of a guy this week at age 59, just wasn't feeling well, sat down in his chair. He was going to do a breathing treatment, so he must have had some other health issues as well. His wife goes to take a shower, comes back, and he's passed away less than 20 minutes later. And I'm sorry to say that's not the only story I've heard this month, probably even this week. It just seems like it's more and more. So maybe that's because I'm getting older and older, right? When your peers start having heart attacks and being diagnosed with cancer, and your siblings and your close people close to your age are diagnosed with diabetes, it just is eye-opening. I wasn't thinking about that at 24, but I was thinking, what can we do to prevent those things later on as I started learning more about that. And even this number, 1 in 5 children is obese. That's pretty staggering. And all of this means higher cost of living with medical bills and prescription medications, but it also means a lesser quality of life. Think about that sheep and how heavy it was to carry all of that wool around when it wasn't being taken care of. And that's what disease is. It's a burden to you and a burden to people around you. And it's difficult. It really is about having long years in our, long years, but we want to have a good life during those years, right? I don't want long life, but really poor health. I want to be able to enjoy that life. And I think most people would say that, but yet, man, it's easy to get distracted, just distracted by the busyness of life. And I don't want to be here tonight lecturing. I just really want to connect with you on that because I do understand, I get that. And that's definitely where we were living and different times where we've been that way through the years with kids, just with busy schedules. And it's been important for me to be able to just get that back on track. And if you haven't muted yourself, if you don't mind pushing the mute button so that we don't have any background noise, I would appreciate that. So why are we so unhealthy? We've talked about this, and I think this picture's a little bit dramatic. I don't think most of us eat this way. I think of this more as a birthday party. Maybe when we were little, we went to a birthday party, we had these foods, but just because this looks like cookies and candy and a soda and donuts, then we wouldn't feed our kids that every day. Sometimes the food choices that they're making on their own as teenagers might look like that. I know it did for me as a
I feel like I'm in my right
Square
line most of the
cookies. I don't know
time,
why
and
that was a thing, but I remember
feeling
eating them
pretty
every day for lunch.
good
So
about that.
it's
Yeah,
not
so that's
crazy, but
lovely. I
just
do
thinking
think
like
it's
of all of
helping
these
push
healthy,
the stomach
unhealthy
or
choices,
giving space for
it's
that.
a lot. Barb, I don't know if you can please mute
But I'm
your
also trying to
self. That
navigate
would be great, love.
in my life with
Um, so just looking at these food choices that we have each day, these become lifestyle habits, right? Like we already talked about that. That's usually what's passed down within families. But a lot of times it's just a little slip, it's just a little step behind, And that really means that our food quality has just decreased. And even the healthy foods that we are eating, but 70% of what Americans eat is processed. That's pretty high. And I've heard families say, if it's not in a package, if it's not in a can, if it's not in a box, we don't eat it. And even thinking about the packages being passed behind, to the seat behind us, when we've got lots of kids in sports and just that busy, crazy life that can be with elementary, junior high kids, high school kids that are driving themselves. Maybe you have picky eaters, and it's just, we're all doing our best. And that's what I feel like I was at all of those years ago. I was doing the best I could, but I really just didn't know what it meant to eat healthy. And I don't think any of us say things like, I've eaten really well this week. I've done really well. I've eaten healthy. I feel better. I've been sleeping great. I've really got to trash my diet this weekend. I need more sugar. I need more caffeine. I'm just going to go on empty carbs all weekend. And, I just really need to trash my diet. I don't think we say that. I hear the other, right? Like, I've just been eating trash. I feel bad. I don't feel good. I've not been sleeping well. I've been sick. I really need to clean up my diet. So, most people are on the side of knowing that they need to clean things up. And so, I hope what we share tonight with you is going to be an encouragement to you to be able to do that. What's interesting, even is the healthy foods we're eating can have 50 to 80% less nutrition in that produce. And so that can be discouraging as well. So, what can we do to feel better? Exercising, obviously, moving at some point, especially some weight training as we're getting older. Sleep 7 to 8 hours a night. I don't even know if I can live on 8 hours. I need more sleep. I just do better with more sleep. My husband he doesn't need as much sleep, and he can get up earlier and go to bed later than I do, but I personally need that much sleep. Managing stress, drinking more water, and eating real food. This is where we're going to focus tonight because, like I said, nobody's talking about they need to work on getting unhealthy foods in their diet. We're all trying to work to get more of that real food. And why? Why do we need to eat this real food? Well, 75% of chronic disease is actually preventable with good nutrition. And I've heard that as high as 85%. This was actually spoken by Dr. William Sears. He's known as America's pediatrician. So when we're talking real food, what does that mean? To me, it was what was easy, fast, convenient, simple, tasted good, what I wanted to eat. I joke that I wasn't opposed to a salad. I would eat a salad if somebody put it in front of me, or it was like if you went out to dinner and it was given to you before your meal, I would eat it, but I wasn't ordering it on my own. I wasn't thinking about how can I get more fruits and vegetables into my diet, and oh, eating a salad before the meal would be a great easy one. I wasn't ordering the vegetables, even though I wasn't opposed to them. I actually did like them and grew up with a lot of fruits and veggies. But when we're thinking real food, I want us to think about shopping the perimeter of the grocery store. That's where the real food is. Within a couple of days at most, it would be going bad and it wouldn't be fit to eat. That produce is going to rot. It's going to start getting mold on it. The real food is not going to last very long without being stored in a cool place. Everything in the middle of the grocery store is it's not food. It's really not food. Maybe the canned veggies, I would rather you eat those than nothing. But what's in the packaging, that could be there for 2 months, 2 years. You could go back and eat that. If you think about it that way, that is processed. That's when we're talking about processed food. Processed food is food that doesn't mold, it doesn't get bacteria. Even simple bacteria won't eat it. So if it can't eat it and break it down, your body can't either. That was something I remember someone told me early on, and I just was like, ah, that totally changes things in my mind about what real food is. And it's because real food does something for us, where bad food does something to us. Okay, so real food is going to fuel your body. It does that for us so that your body is able to heal and repair and run effectively. Bad food, not real food, food is going to do something to us. That's what makes us feel tired. That's what weakens our immune system. That's what keeps us grouchy and even picky eaters, because when we keep feeding it that same bad food, that's what your body starts to crave and desire. So real food has all of the real benefits that we're all looking for. You can kind of think of it that way. So, how did these fruits and vegetables protect us? You've probably heard of the words oxidative stress, or maybe you've heard it called free radicals, and you've probably heard of antioxidants as well. And those are connected, because the bad news is that the oxidative stress, or think of just aging and disease, that's part of everyday life. We are aging as, every day goes along. Our body is fighting things and fighting disease processes. And the more nutrients it has, or antioxidants in it from fresh raw fruits and vegetables, that's what protects those cells from the oxidative stress. And you can see that half of the apple is aging faster without the antioxidants, extra antioxidants of lemon juice being put on that. So just like cells take a hit, they're what reproduce and tell the next cell how to reproduce. That DNA also takes a hit. And so when you have healthy cells that are replicating healthy cells, then that's how we get healthy, right? Or we stay healthy. But the same thing, if those cells are being damaged and they're reproducing, the next cell is damaged, then that aging process is sped up. That disease process is sped up. So antioxidants slow that aging down. They slow that disease process down because they're doing something for our body. Our body's able to do something with those nutrients just like it's designed to. So when we talk about how many fruits and vegetables we should be eating, 7 to 13 servings, thinking a serving is slightly smaller than the size of your fist. I don't know if you guys find that difficult, but 7 to 13 servings every day, that's really, really difficult. I have a few friends that do that, and they do that well, and it's almost their full-time job to just be eating fruits and veggies each day. But it takes intense intention to make that happen. And so most of us just aren't. I mean, we're not. We know we need to eat fruits and vegetables, but we're definitely not eating that many. Our kids aren't eating 5 to 7 every single day. That would be half of your plate be fruits and vegetables. That's a really good visual for you to aim for when you're serving dinner, is half of that plate being fruits and vegetables. So maybe it's a salad and a couple of veggie portions, a smaller portion of meat and a smaller portion of carbs. It's doable, but again, it takes intention for us to make that happen on a daily basis. So why so many? That seems like a lot. If you guys remember, years ago, it was called the 5 a day campaign, and it was just the encouragement for us to eat 5 servings every single day. It was a national campaign, and they stopped doing it because they really didn't see it increase the number of fruits and vegetables that people were buying. I wish they would have kept it, because it often takes like decades for that message to really integrate into society and for people to start doing that, not just hearing it or reading it. So one of the reasons why we have to eat so many is because it's just not as nutrient dense as it used to be, or because it's things like, I live in New Mexico in the desert. There are not banana trees here, but I can buy bananas. I can buy mangoes. They don't grow here. So they have to be picked somewhere else, and they have to be picked before they are ripe. And it's the last couple of days of ripening on the vine or the plant that they actually get the most nutrients in there. So when they're picked green and shipped, by the time they get to me and I can eat them, they're not rotten, then they've lost a lot of those nutrients. And so that's a really big reason of why we need to eat that many. Another is because the amount of fiber that adds to our diets, and fiber is actually satiating. It means you're not going to feel as hungry if you have more fiber in there. So that's another great reason, and to keep your systems moving, to keep regular. So we're just not eating a wide rainbow either. We tend to eat the same 5, and families serve the same 5 because they know who's gonna throw a fit having to eat what, right? So you avoid those. We tend to serve our kids the ones that we like. So that really adds up to 90% of people in our lives, including us, failing to meet that daily serving. 90%, that's only 10% of the US is actually getting that number in every single day. And that's why most people tend to rely on a multivitamin. And if you ask people why they're taking a multivitamin, they will say maybe their doctor recommended they take it, or they watched a video. Maybe they had a friend that recommended it. They read in a magazine to take that multivitamin. Somewhere they heard that a multivitamin is good, or maybe it's just that they know they're not eating enough fruits and vegetables. I know I had taken a prenatal vitamin, but I never thought about where were the nutrients coming from in that pill. I just had never thought of it. I just took it because it was one doctor had recommended to me. But I don't remember ever going to a doctor's office where they talked to me about how many fruits and vegetables I was eating. They recommend a multivitamin because they know there's a nutritional gap there, but that nutritional gap is a gap of fruits and vegetables, not isolated vitamins. And when you look at the research behind vitamins, there's
Used to
not
that.
research that shows that it decreases our disease process, like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, stroke. It doesn't decrease those. When you look at the research on fruits and vegetables, it absolutely does show that it decreases those. Look at American Heart Association, Diabetic Association, all of those. If you look at their brochures or go to their websites and look for ways to get better or how do you manage it, they all say to eat more produce. So it's not unknown. It's not this new thing that we've known. People say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. We've heard that for years. So it's not this brand new concept. It's just a difficulty of life. And it's why people tend to rely on that multivitamin. But when you look at that multivitamin, that's a list. It says a supplement fact. It's a list of maybe 20 different nutrients that are in that. And when you look at what's in an apple, it would take, I forget how many pages. I think it's 25 pages of those tiny written nutrients there. If one of these beads represents one of the nutrients in an apple, this is how many that's in there. Over 11,000, guys, in one apple. That's crazy. That's vitamins, minerals, it's phytonutrients, it's plant compounds that have been identified and named and then listed. That's a lot of nutrients. And why do we have to take a multivitamin that's what we call mega dosed isolated nutrients? It's because our body only absorbs about 8% of that, where it knows what to do with that fruit or vegetable that you're eating. It's going to have to figure out with that multivitamin. Do I keep it? Do I store it? Do I use it? How do I use this chemical? So it's always better to get our nutrients from a food source. And I knew that intuitively as a young mom, and that's why I was frustrated, right? That's why I was looking for solutions in a food form of how do I get this food into his body? But what I was doing wasn't really working. But what's interesting is if you had asked us if we were healthy, I would have said yes. I would have said yes because I was already used to the disease process in my young family. Like I said, I was 24. My husband was about 27. He had had pneumonia 4 years in a row, at least once, most of the time twice. Graduated from the Air Force Academy sick, stayed sick, and all those antibiotics that he would take, yes, they would save his life, but they would wreak havoc on his gut system. Then he was just fighting this disease process most of the
Oh,
time.
that's Friday, right? Holy crap.
Whoever has
Yeah,
iPhone
that
13,
should
can
not
you
be doing
mute
that.
yourself?
It's just, I can tell. It's
iPhone 13.
probably burning up.
You win. Can you please mute yourself? Thank you. So he was, I felt like a bingo person. I need to have
I know.
with that.
Wondering
I
if you
don't have
need
the
to go
ability
before
to
Friday. That's
right
4
now.
more days.
Whoever's
And it's
speaking,
not
can you
till
mute
what time?
yourself, please?
9:30. It was myself was like irritating it. Yeah, I was gonna
I
say
don't have to get anyone out either. I'm sorry, guys. We'll just have to keep going. Okay, I'll just keep talking. I won't pause.
That's how I knew. It was
But
a
anyway,
Friday
so I
night.
just found that our family was very
Well, I've been trying to
unhealthy. My husband, like I said, had had
get
pneumoniya a lot of
You should think
years in a
about,
row, and we were just doing the best that we could.
you've
And like
used
I
all
said, I
your,
wasn't
did you use
feeding us
capsules before, or
unhappy
did you
on
use,
purpose. I really just didn't know exactly
tablets,
what
and
to
they
do.
gave me stuff
And
too.
so I was
told me if I
just
came back, but I
wanting
had to
for
stay there.
somebody
I
to,
can't stay there.
let's see, I've got to find a way to.
Remember they talked about
No.
even putting me in the hospital last time.
I'm sorry,
So
guys.
they could give me IV,
This is
the
my
IV.
iPhone
that I usually
13.
use.
The
iPhone
the
13.
IV.
Yeah, 'cause someone else told me they
Can
were.
you mute everybody,
I'm
Stacy?
not able to
Can't
see
stay
it.
in
I
the
think because
hospital
I'm
for 3
already in
days.
this
What are you gonna
portion
do?
where I'm recording.
Kingsley.
Well, Kingsley will have to come down and stay with Dexter.
Is anyone a co-host?
Like
No one's a co-host. Can somebody message the iPhone person? Maybe
Tell
they'll
her.
see
I
that.
have.
You know, tomorrow's the last day of the sale. You get a
Whoever said
box
tomorrow's
of
the last
super
day of the sale.
powder.
Lisa, is
And
that
get one
you?
free, so it's 2 months worth for the same price. You might
Lisa,
want to try that. Just see
No.
if the extra
Nope.
will help
It's
I
not
can't see
me.
who's
your
talking.
body from the inside out.
Sorry,
There's
guys. I know
something
that's super
wrong.
distracting.
Can you make
but
me
I'm
a
just not
co-host and
able
I'll see
to
if I
do
can
that.
mute?
Say that
And
again,
you
Lisa.
should have been
Can you make me a co-host and I'll see if I can mute everybody?
I'm not even able to see the list of participants. And usually I can keep going. I'm just having a hard time
What?
staying.
That's why I
Okay.
say try the. it's
Let me
food.
stop share
So,
and
I
then I'll
mean,
be able to get all of that.
we don't eat as. I mean, we might eat good, but
She's
if our
doing the
body's already
presentation. She
breaking
knows what
down
to
and we
do.
have disease, something
She knows
going
this
on, it's a
messaging.
lot more nutrition to heal them. I think so. Almost, yeah. I don't think.
What happened?
Mute. Okay, there it is. And that one. And one more. Okay. Ah, very good. I'm sorry, guys. I'm usually okay with just keep going, but my brain was like, I'm too distracted on this one. We'll find it. Hold on. Give me a sec. There we go. Okay, we're back in. So my husband's been sick so many times. I'm just really struggling. He's struggling. I wasn't sick as often, but I was tired all the time. I was not regular, and I just wasn't feeling great. I lived for the next nap when my son would take a nap, and he had a rash on his face that I couldn't get rid of. And like I said, all of those antibiotics saved my husband's life when he was in the hospital with pneumonia, and we were grateful for that. But yet it wreaked havoc on his immune system, and it was just this ugly cycle over and over. And I wonder how many times we get into cycles like that to where we're just so used to the disease process, we don't even recognize how bad it is. And we didn't know how bad it was until we got better, right? Until we started to flood our body with fruits and vegetables. And that came through this one simple change that my friend that I had just met, I didn't really even know her. We had connected as moms, but she shared this one simple change with me, these fruits and vegetables in a capsule. And I just remember thinking, okay, that's easy. Like I understood the concept of fruits and vegetables, and I just thought I could open that into my son's sippy cup or into his applesauce or something. That's an easy thing I can do. That's a simple change. And I was thinking long term, my husband and I, we were thinking in our 40s, this would make sense to us, or that we would be glad that we had done this. And I am so thankful my 24-year-old self said yes to this. And it really was Sharon's persistence of continuing to remind me, because I just had this paradigm shift from that multivitamin to whole food. And I didn't want to just come back months later and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I fell for fruits and veggies in a capsule. Like, who would think that that would work? Like, I remember actually thinking that and having that thought. And that never came true, because the more we took Juice Plus, the longer we took it, the more benefits that we saw. And my family, my parents started taking Juice Plus the same time that I started taking it, and my husband. So it's now been 23 years later. They're in their 70s on no medication, which is unheard of. Jarrett's mom, too. It's really been beneficial to us. And this shaped how I fed my family, right? Like when you're in a community that you're constantly learning, I fell in love with the education on this, of why we needed fruits and vegetables, and really how simple this could be. And I jokingly say, but it's true, I've stuck with Jesus, Jarrett, and Juice Plus for all these years. Outside of that, I don't think there's anything else. Like no other product that I've bought for that long. Nothing else I've been that excited about. But this has really stayed a part of our family because we saw the benefits of it. I actually used Juice Plus as my prenatal with two of our kids, our next two. And in all of these years, they're all married and out of the house now, but I took them to the doctor 2 or 3 times their whole life their whole life. I feel like I was able to reverse disease process in one generation through nutrition. This was the catalyst for us to start making other changes. And as we kept making these changes, we kept seeing these benefits. And then it was just the encouragement to keep going, to keep making another change, to want to eat more fruits and vegetables, to not want to trash my diet. And it was so far from that. I wanted to keep eating healthy. It was like you flood your body with the good, and that's what it craves, just like the bad. And so we just saw over time the impact this had. And these plant-based omegas, again, that they're all plants in these omegas, they're plant oils, and there's no heat involved with that. So it's really clean, and no fish. So not that burpy smell. We started with the fruits and vegetables first. Then not too long after that, we added the berries and grapes. And then we added those omegas when they came out. I think it was like 10 years later. So this is a staple of our diet. Every single day we take, this is called the quad. This is what we recommend for most adults, and at least the fruits, vegetables, and berries. But some people choose to just start with the fruits and veggies, kind of like we did, and then add other products as you go along. So really, I love that Juice Plus partners with family farmers. It's simply plants. Like I said, that concept of fruits and vegetables isn't new to all of us, but this really can make such a difference because of how they grow the produce. Like they test the soil to make sure it's clean before they even put the seeds in there. They're partnering with these family farmers that have the same mindset about clean produce that they do. And then this produce is actually peaked or harvested at peak of ripeness so that it's not rotting somewhere else being transported. It's within hours of being picked to put into that powder, because they do a pulverizing process, not so much juicing, even though it's Juice Plus. And then that pulverized produce is quickly frozen so that there's still those live enzymes and not the loss of those valuable nutrients. And then that water is removed and the sugar is neutralized, and that's what's in that powder. So those powders are put into capsules and then into those gummies that's in the little one's hands. Adults can do either capsules or gummies, either one. And then we also have a superfood powder right here. I'll show that to you and talk to you a little bit more in a minute, but those same powders are either in the capsule, in those gummies, or in the superfood powders. So what makes it unique is that it's not a multivitamin. It actually has a food label on it. On those bottles, it has a food label. It's NSF certified, so that's a company that's third party to us that tests to make sure what's on the label is in the product and vice versa. And then it's the most researched nutritional product in the world. Nothing else even comes close to the research that Juice Plus has. Remember when I said I was afraid I would say, oh, I can't believe I fell for fruits and vegetables in a capsule. At that time, there were 7 studies done with Juice Plus. And once I looked at those, I recognized, no, this is actually showing that it gets into my bloodstream, that it's helping to balance that immune system. And then over the years, the amount of research that's been done on it is really phenomenal. That's what backed it up for me in my mind, that it wasn't just some lady I met at this trade show, right? Like she was telling me about this, but it was backed by real science that if I was going to invest in it, I wanted to know it would invest in me. And I wanted to know that if I gave it to my kids, that it was safe and effective. And we weren't just going to waste our money for 23 years. You know, wouldn't that be crazy? So, this is the superfood powders that I mentioned. So it's those same ones. And what's great about these is it will not break a fast, not the capsules or the superfood powders. So it's keto friendly, and you're able to get those core nutrients in without breaking a fast if you're trying to fast longer during the day. So I think you guys would like that as well. But look at where this clinical research is at. This is research studies done all around the world, not just here in the US, because Juice Plus is sold in, I think it's like 20 different countries. And you might recognize some of these universities. I know we drove by one in Florida and I was like, hey, look, there's Nemours Children's Hospital. And I knew that study was done with overweight boys that were on the pre-diabetic side. And so and then the difference that it made in their bodies after taking Juice Plus. So I just think, like, I drove by that. It was a real hospital, right? It's a real study that was done there and published at that university. So I just think that's really cool. I'm sorry, not at the university, at that clinic, that hospital. So maybe look up some of these studies if you're into research, dig in, because it really is phenomenal, and it's what's given me confidence to share it with anyone. And I love this slide too. We can you can screenshot it or we can send it to you, but what happens when you take it from 2 hours all the way to 10 years? Like, the research is really there, the benefits, and especially that 10-year study, that was phenomenal, looking at the reduction in heart disease, catastrophic results, and like these coronary events, and the monetary side of illness as well. So if you like research, if you want to know how it balances your immune system, that DNA damage that we talked about earlier, studies have been shown with Juice Plus that it reduces that damage, even helps repair the DNA so that it's reproducing healthier, which is significant. Just really incredible. Gut health, I mean, I could go on and on about the research. I really love this side because that's what gives us confidence in investing in this and taking it each day, and keeps us on track. Another program that we have called the Healthy Starts is for kids age 4 through 25. Get their Juice Plus for free. That's like most of their life. My kids are still on Juice Plus for free because I'm able to sponsor one with my order. My husband sponsors one and my mom sponsors the other one. Look at the difference in 4 million kids and adults. These are the results after 1 year of taking Juice Plus. Look, that number alone, 4 million people taking Juice Plus, and the changes that they saw in 1 year. They're consuming less fast food and soft drinks. They're drinking more water, missing less days of school, going to the doctor less, taking less over-the-counter medication, and eating more fruits and vegetables. I mean, it's like a dream. It's what we as parents want for our kids, right? And I absolutely saw this with my own children. $700 million donated by this company to give it free to kids, because again, they know as moms, we're not going to do for ourselves first. We're going to do for our kids first. And they also know moms set that tone. And so when moms and dads are on Juice Plus and making healthier choices, it impacts the whole family. And they wanted that to be free for the kids. It's really a phenomenal program. So all the way until they're turning 26. We also have Super Biome, which is a gut health product. This is newer to our product line. This is a great time release probiotic. So it's not opening in your stomach where you have stomach acid, and then a prebiotic fiber that is the good food for the good probiotic, that good bacteria that's in your gut. And so you want to drink this with a lot of water. It's a great source of fiber. Even eating it drink this and your capsule with food is helpful as well. And this just really helps to nourish that good bacteria. I heard somebody today, she told me after consistently taking the probiotic and the prebiotic drink, that after 1 month she was dreaming again, and she had not been dreaming. Which is crazy because we've heard that before, right? That there's a connection, a brain-gut connection. And that was one of them for her, that she started remembering her dreams. And so that's just a sign of healthier brain health, even from impacting that gut. And so there's some really great recordings on this. Dr. Tamara Sachs did a brain-gut health connection call not too long ago that was phenomenal. I highly recommend you listen to that one. Let us know if you want it. It was so good. But all of our health starts in our gut, and this is a great place to start with that. The complete smoothies also have a prebiotic fiber in them. This was an easy meal for our busy families. You can make protein balls out of it. There's lots of recipes, but chocolate peanut butter banana with almond milk has been our family favorite for years. And I really like the vanilla with the superfood powders, using ice and water and maybe a couple of frozen strawberries calories, and it's more like a slushy than a smoothie, but it's just a great source of fiber, again, like we talked about, and protein. So a great source of protein. It was a really great way to start our day when the kids were younger, and I know they still drink it even to this day. This is the protein drink that they choose on their own, which I just love that. So again, super helpful to your gut health as well. So Luminate is a brain boosting high energy drink. If you know somebody who drinks energy drinks or somebody who just drinks a lot of coffee, this could be really helpful to them as well. My husband says when he drinks this, it makes him happy, and it's because it's brain boosting. It's an elevating your mood, and it just enhances mental clarity. It's got ashwagandha, some of those healthy mushrooms, and has coffee berry, which is where the energy comes from, but it's not a high caffeine load. It's not like a jittery type. It just kind of is a sustained energy, but this is an excellent one. Again, it doesn't break your keto fast either, which is great. And a lot of people are drinking that warm, like a tea in the mornings. So I love the most about Juice Plus is that it is affordable. And I think that's why we've been able to keep it into our budget all these years with, of course, with our kids getting it for free, right? Who wouldn't want that? But $2.67 a day, guys. I mean, what, like that's eating off of a dollar menu that doesn't even exist anywhere. That doesn't even exist. I think the shake is like $2.53 for one shake. So it's really is affordable. If I gave you $5 and sent you to Walmart, really how much produce could you come back with? It's definitely not going to be 30 and in that wide variety. So the quad is the $3.75 a day. Again, it's free for kids age 4 through 25. They get their fruits and vegetables either in a gummy or in the capsules. So fruit and veggie capsules is what they get for free. And I mean, we're spending the money somewhere. It's going somewhere. For us, we had to shift something in our budget. So we just decided nothing. If we went out to eat, we were only going to get water and not get a soda or tea and pay for that. That alone can be $10 or plus at a meal. If you do that meal, you know, out to eat somewhere 5 times a month, you've already paid for your Juice Plus. So think of it that way. You're spending the money somewhere, maybe on something that's not serving you so well. So where can you shift that money to something to invest in your own health? And I really think of Juice Plus as a gift. It was gifted to me that I was able to gift to my family and my friends all these years. And I'm so thankful that Sharon stepped into my life and she shared that with me. And I hope that you are thinking of other people in your life that could use this nutrition. Right away, I was like, my parents need to know about this. Jarrett's mom, his dad, his stepmom. I had a couple of friends, my sister. How many times I was in a conversation with someone that there was a picky eater, there was a health issue, and it just keeps coming up through the years because everybody can use this. From my infants that we were dumping the powder in their mouth at 6 months old to my grandmother who was 90 struggling with UTIs, right? It's for all ages because fruits and vegetables is for everyone. And this is a gift of hope that's really based on science. We're not guessing here. It's common sense as well. It's common sense and science. And that's what really encourages me to share it with other people. So I just want to thank you so much for being on here today and sharing with us tonight. I'm so sorry for those distractions, but we are glad that you're here. And we just want to encourage you, get back with the person that shared this with you. Maybe it's a friend of yours. Thank them for inviting you. If this information was helpful, pass this along. We'll put out the recording. I also did one this morning that doesn't have as many distractions if you guys want that to share. But again, I just thank you for being on.